you. Grace and peace. Welcome to Grown Men Are Talking. We are here live. We are ready to go. We are a little behind schedule, but we're okay. Good to see those of you who are coming in. I want everyone to please share. We want to try to build up our audience. Please share, hit the like button. This is going to be a really interesting and powerful conversation tonight. And I want to start off by saying, listen, trigger warning. It may be a little sensitive to some of you. Some of you may have to really hold on to your hats and kind of see it from a different point of view. Our intentions is not to bash or to not to cause any, hurting by his feelings. But there's some things that we just have to talk about tonight. And so I got the crew to do it. I got the men to do it. Waiting for a few other guys to come in, but the main group tonight they're present, ready to go in the green room, chilling out, waiting for us to come on. I want to show a clip. Let me bring them on first, and then I'm going to show a clip while we're all on. Let's bring these gentlemen up here. We got Bishop Wilkinson. Wilkinson is with us tonight. God bless you, man of God.
Bless you, sir.
All right, we have my very brother here, my dear brother, Elian.
Bless you.
Wells, God bless you, man of God. And we also have my brother here, KB Jordan.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
So we have
what's going on, man?
Here tonight.
All right.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask everyone that's in the chat, please share, hit the like, tag some people on, so that we could see what it is that we are doing tonight, because we need to get everybody in here. We need to get everybody in here tonight. And I'm going to set this off. I saw something. Gentlemen. First of all, the two guests, the gentlemen who are new. I don't want to call them guests because I'm sure they're going to be on a couple more times. But I want to first let them introduce themselves, tell you all who they are, and then we're going to get into. I'm going to show a small clip of a very popular preacher who is deceased right now, but he did a lot of work when it comes to men. And I'm going to let our very own Reverend Wells introduce himself, and my brother Prophet KB introduce himself. God bless you. Go ahead, brothers.
Good evening, family. My name is Eliam Wells. I have been a clergy member for a while. I know I'm young, but most of my life I've been in the church world and a part of ministry. One of the things that I'm most proud of, though, is that I am a father of two. I'm consistent. I love my children. For those who don't know, yes, I am newly divorced, but I'm still a great dad, and we make things work as we do. And also, most of my secular work has been working with children and families. While I am not a social worker by trade, I am a supervisor who leads social workers in the supporting of children and families throughout the state of Connecticut. And so, yeah, I have worked with anything from developmental disabilities to children and family, and I have supported youth since the age of about 14 years old throughout the state of Connecticut and New York, in education development, youth development, as well as educational advocacy for funding for scholarships, grants, and outside of the classroom education. And so I'm also a student at Yale Divinity School, and I will have my master's degrees from Yale this time next year. So
that's good. Awesome, man. That's awesome. Man. Amen. Go ahead, brother. KB, tell us about you, man.
Hey, can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah, we got you, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so how y'all doing? My name is Kyle Jordan. I go by KB Jordan. Just want to say hello to you all. A little bit about myself. I'm a former college athlete. I played football at Central Connecticut State University. I was a scholarship running back there. And part of my testimony is when my father died, I actually went crazy, dropped out of school, and the Lord found me in my brokenness. And now currently I am working with Elevate Bridgeport, where we teach life skills and character building. So I work with 9th grade, 10th grade, and 12th grade as a teacher / mentor. So I teach during the day, I mentor during the afternoon with students that are in high school. So we just teach them about morals, ethics. You know, somebody drops $100 bill on the floor, what do? Are you going to take it and put it in your pocket, or are you going to say, excuse me, sir, you dropped your $100? So we break stuff like that down to them just to make sure that they're on the right track. So I'm excited about what I'm able to do. I've been in ministry since I was 17 years old. I'm 30 now, so I've been preaching since I was 17. And I have a whole testimony about that as well. Lord, I was in the locker room cussing up a storm, and somebody found me preaching on YouTube. Man, I was so embarrassed. But God, man, he like I said, he found me. You can go wayward if you want, but God gonna find you, you know. So yeah, man, I'm just thankful. You know, I have a wife now. We're going on about 6 years in marriage. Look, I said about as if we've been married for a long time, but we're going about 6 years in marriage. We have 2 kids and one on the way, and
Awesome.
God is amazing. So I'm grateful to be here before you all and just to hang out with the fellas.
All right, let's do it. So you all know the bishop, the right bishop with us tonight, Bishop Wilkinson. He's been on with us from the beginning, and he's been right here with us, man. It's been great having him. I love his sobriety, man. I love his soberness, his maturity, and he's you know, seasoned gentleman, but he looks from different lenses. He can look at things from different perspectives, and that's pretty good because he's not locked in, which is good. So, brother, thank you so much for riding with us, man.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. All right, so let's get into it tonight. Anybody got any feedback? Anything going on in your headphones? Everybody's good?
I'm good on my end.
I got a little talk back. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's all right. So I'm going to show you this clip, and then we're going to get into it tonight because we're going to talk about fathers, and we want to talk a little bit about. We want to talk about the challenges fathers are having, younger gentlemen, and then why the church and where the church is maybe not helpful or actually not relevant. And because that's kind of a narrative that I've heard, that the church is not relevant, and we really come down hard on our men. But I want to talk. I want to open up with this right tonight. Give me a second. Put this on here. This is gonna be interesting. You guys are gonna. So those of you in the chat, please share, please like, please hit those tag, do something. Let people know that we are on tonight. Let's see, there it is. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're gonna check this out. Oh, what? Sorry.
Champion.
I'm gonna start it over.
A woman is not looking for a lover. She's not looking for a sex champion. She's looking for a father. It's a shift now. This kingdom stuff I'm talking about here. So the function of the male, say it, the function of the male is to do what? Father the female. What is father? Source. Listen, look at me. No woman on this planet, I don't care what she tells you, no woman on this planet wants to have to go to work. Let me say it slowly. No woman on this planet, none. I dare them to talk to me. I've been to 87 countries, and every woman is the same. They don't want to have to go to work. Why? They're not built to have to support nothing. They came to help. Oh. And so the devil's strategy is to move the man. And now the woman got to carry the weight. And she's not built to carry the weight. So he said, I will return the hearts of the fathers back to the children. If the foundations be restored, where will the righteous even be saved? How is the male, the father, the female? Here's the bottom line. The male is the source of seed. Women have no seed. You carry it in your loins right now, 4 generations, son. Every minute of every day, every male in here is carrying 4 generations. Right now. So whatever you do, it's being transferred upon your sperms. What you do in secret is never secret. It's generational. So your private escapades with the woman that you're not married to is not private. Generations are being impacted by that spirit of adultery. Some of you wonder why you are violent against women, or why you are homosexually tendency, or why you want to drink alcohol, or why you want to take drugs. You wonder, why am I like this? Why do I hate women? Why do I want to beat women? Check your father's father. Because the sins of the father, never the mother, never the mother, the sins of the fathers, God says, are transferred to the first, second, third, and fourth generation. Nothing that a male does is private. It might be personal, but never private.
All right. So, gentlemen, I wanted to bring that out because I wanted to bring it out because I wanted to talk about the foundation of the father, of the male, and really how when you move the male out of the way, what happens? Like, the women are fair game, and this is part and parcel, a large percentage of what we're seeing even in the church, right? Why that there's so much vulnerability in the church, why men can't find a place because of what we're seeing in the church. And we can argue, we're going to discuss tonight about how that happened, why that happened, and then kind of get a perspective. But I want to ask Pastor Wells, what was your thought on the beginning of, I'm not putting you on the spot because you the guy in divinity, you the guy that's in the seminary, you the smart guy. So we're gonna put you right out here. What do you think about the first thing you said about the foundation of the father? Once the father is moved, the woman's not prepared to carry it. Do you agree with that? With his statement? And if so, go ahead.
There are several things that I agree and disagree with.
Okay.
And so I think where I see it kind of comes out of scripture into just the historical basis of this nation in particular, and the role that fathers have played within the Black and brown community. Fathers they didn't leave by choice. They were removed from the homes, right? Mm-hmm. And so it left the woman with no choice but to carry. And so do I think a woman is supposed to carry the weight of a family on her own? Absolutely not. But has she? Yes, she has. So I think the enemy comes in terms of the planning behind the scenes, because I believe that marriage is so sacred that it's God ordained, and every element of a unit, every element of a household is structured in a certain way. And so if we remove the head of the household, it's just like when back in the day when mom and dad had to go to work, the oldest child became the parent. And so they made a lot of mistakes. They weren't capable, they weren't qualified, but they had no other choice. And I think we find ourselves in a position where women have no other choice but to find themselves in positions, right, where they have to live and depend on government assistance because they can't work and be home and pick the kids up from school. And this one has a disability and this one has a problem. And they have problems within themselves that they're working and navigating through. So do I agree with him that the woman cannot stand and structure the household? No, I don't agree. I will agree that she wasn't made to, but I think because of the way society has outgrown and grown away from biblical structures, I think she's had no choice but to.
Okay, brother KB, you're a young father, so and you've seen, like, I mean, condolences to your dad. I understand you said your father passed away. Mm-hmm. Being a young father, where do you see the greatest challenge on being a dad, a husband, as relates to the day and time now you're in? Like, what's your greatest challenge? What do you think the greatest challenge is?
I think the greatest challenge is really you have to now learn how to be selfless, you know? At that point where when you didn't have kids, you know, you were the cool uncle. You had nieces, you had nephews, you picked them up, you know, you gave them a hug, and when they started hollering and screaming, you gave them right back to your sister or your brother, and like, all right, I'll see y'all later. But now when you're the actual father, you gotta deal with that, you know, and you gotta be able to be nurturing. You can't be, you know, in a place where you're letting your anger get the best of you because you don't know how to, you know, understand what your child's going through. Especially right now, I have young children. I have a 2-year-old. My daughter, she's older now, but I had to. So me and my wife, we have a daughter that's actually not mine biologically. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn how to be a father when she got married. When I got married to my wife, my daughter was about 2 years old then. So I had to learn how to be a father in that phase, you know, and that's a whole nother conversation. But to answer your question, I think I'm learning how to be strapped with patience. That's something Bishop Calhoun was preaching about recently, being strapped with patience, because, you know, you get impatient, you know, you're trying to do things and get things off the ground. And sometimes your kid's like, nah, you're not doing that right now. I need your attention. So I think my biggest struggle as a young father is just learning, you know, how to be selfless, you know, because we all sometimes have a selfish nature, you know. I'm trying to make things happen. I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to do this. But at the same time, we have to pour into our children too. So I'm thinking I'm being more reminded of that's time for me to continue to pour into my children, and that it'll have a great effect in the end, you know, on our kids. So.
Okay. Hey, Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Man, what do you think about what Bishop Pastor Monroe said?
I'm gonna agree with Brother Elyon. Is it? I think it's dangerous and outdated thinking myself.
Okay.
And I know he was a pillar in the kingdom, but there's a lot of it I didn't agree with. And given today's culture, that I think that's insulting to a lot of men and women, because I know women that don't mind going to work. They've built careers. I don't think all women sit there thinking, I don't want to work, but I think if it's feasible and you can 100% carry a household, if they choose not to, that's one thing. But to say, and I think that's one of the problems with a lot of some of today's church thinking, that like it hasn't been updated. As Brother Elyon said, you know, going back to the slavery days, we didn't leave purposely, we were removed. And also when it came to educational standards and men having opportunities, it was deliberately made harder for us than it was for our women. I think I've stated that before, because they knew that if a certain cultural type of women got ahead, they would do to us what they no longer have to do. And I think that kind of thinking kind of supports that.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bishop.
No, go ahead. So I just think a lot of that was dangerous, outdated thinking. In short, we could dig into it a little further.
Yep.
But I do.
So, and I when I first listened to it, I mean, I've followed Miles Monroe for years. So I've listened, read it. I've got a lot of his books in my library. And yeah, I do agree that on the onset, it does look like it's greatly outdated. And some of it I do agree with. But this one thing he did say, because I had to listen to it again. He said, no woman wants to have to go to work. Right? He said, and it was like under duress. It wasn't like choose to go to work. And because I listened to it 2 or 3 times, I said, well, that's something wrong with that. I listened to it again, and he was clear about that. My wife and I even talked about it. I said, she listened to it too, and she thought he said the same thing, that women it sounded like they want to go to work. He said, no, have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my wife, she's like, I said, my wife works. Now she works by choice. And I said, she said, would you she said, yeah, I have to go. I feel like I want to contribute. I want to, contribute, and I do it. And I'm like, okay, that's the difference. Now, granted, we can argue about whether it's outdated or not dated. I'm not, that's fine. And I don't have a problem either way, to be honest with you. But what I want to say is, I think that Miles Monroe was really trying to help the men of that time, obviously, to take responsibility for their conduct, right? For their conduct, for taking care of their families, because that's really the bedrock, right? That's really the foundation. I think every man, and now you can tell me if you agree with this or not. I think every man, when he's looking to be a part of or to start a family, build a family, the first person he has to always look to in the beginning is himself as the foundation, right? And whether or not I can sustain or carry or maintain this family on my own. Now, I didn't start out that way, right? Because I didn't have that. I didn't see that. Like, my father wasn't home, right? And no one talked about this, right? All we knew, all I learned, and I learned for the most part, well, I can't say that. Well, I looked to the church to learn some things, but we were like, okay, guy's got to go to work. He's got to pay the bills and protect the family. And that protect the family wasn't really the focus. It was really make sure you paying the bills, right? And that was it. And if anything went wrong, you found out later on it was all your fault, right? So what I want to talk to tonight is the reason why I want to play him, because I wanted to start with that foundation. Fundamentally, I agree that every man, and you guys can tell me where you fit in this, every man should, at least when he starts off with a family, is like, how am I going to support this family? How am I, where we're going to live? Kind of the fundamentals, the basics of life and how that goes. If she gets pregnant, I know I got to carry the load, right? Because she's going to have a baby and she's going to be out of circuit and all this kind of stuff. So I believe that's how we start. But I think that we haven't really, and I don't want to go off the beaten path, but we haven't really been able to solidify from our circles, like what that man looks like, because we all looked at that tape and we all had different perspective, right? Because I think that speaks to kind of where we are as men, right? And if we are, because I want to ask the women in the chat too, and as you women are listening to this, how many of you tell me that you feel like the man should carry all of it on his own? Just how you feel. I mean, he should be able to carry it on his own. So while they're doing that, fellas, we're gonna delve back in. What are we doing wrong in the church that we don't have men in the church? I want to go right to that now. I know we all over the place, but I want to drill like
you done been a big switch for us.
That's right.
I was ready to answer that other question. I was like,
exactly. That's where my mind was working.
That's good. So what right, answer the question. Where's your mind at? Let's go. Where's your mind?
Well, I wanted to say you said, should a man have to carry the load, right? As like, so what does that like mean in the terms of like carrying the load financially, carrying the load, like what is that? What is the load?
Good. I'm glad you said that. So when I say carry the load, a man should be able to financially support his family on his own, right?
Pay all the bills.
Pay all the bills, right? And even give her money to get her hair done, nails done, whatever else that goes with that. Okay. I believe that he may not have to, but he should be able to at least be able to.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Now, he may not have to, because a lot of women today are very independent. They want to work. They want their own money. They want their own, their own, whatever they get out of it. But he should be able to, he should go into that relationship with that in mind. Right? Now, the home responsibilities, the domestic, is hers. She's supposed to cook, clean, make sure everything is secured in the home, right? Whoever pays the bills, I don't know. Y'all can work that out. Who's better at paying the bills? But I believe that's her responsibility. I'm an old-fashioned cat, man. That's just
that's the problem, Apostle. You're disrupting a lot of some of these female thinking.
Yeah,
these
I know.
Days.
But see, now listen. I do understand when a woman says, okay, I want to go and help, right? I want to go and help with the, the bills, and we can have more if I go to work. Got that. She's a career woman. Got that. But I think that at the basis, a man should be able to carry it all. I just believe he should be able to do that. Now, if he has to, that's different. Whether or not he does, that's semantics. I'm saying he should be able to say, if she decides that she's going home, right?
I got it.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I just
jump in here, man.
Okay, and not I want to say how much I respect you before I say what I'm getting ready to say, Pastor. I just want you to know I look up to you.
We like the disclaimer.
But when we look at what it really takes to survive today, in building a family, I don't know if we're there anymore.
Exactly.
And this is Bishop Barber. You may have seen today he was actually arrested for praying at the Capitol, but he teaches a course on public theology, and we had to do the numbers of what it means to be in poverty. And a lot of our people are significantly in poverty, and the living out that a man should be the sole provider, what it does is it sits us in a place where we're constantly surviving, but the family can never cross over from surviving into a thriving mode. So a family of that structure. Now, it's different if you're making a certain amount of money, then that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But when a lot of our individuals are struggling with $40,000 jobs and have families and wives and trying to build, those are also the populations that oftentimes don't even have $500 to the side if like an emergency comes up. So I think that I agree. No woman wants to work. I don't think no. If we being honest, I don't think no man want to have to work. If we could have all been heirs to Oprah and all of them, I think that would have been our choice. But in the society that we're in, I think, at least for a season, many families will have to work their way out of poverty. And as they restructure their life, I think the conversation of, baby, you know what? You don't ever have to work again. We're not where we were. As long as I can keep us where we are and continue to build, I think that's a goal to get to. But for a lot of people, I don't think that's a reality. And I will also add, and this is why I said how much I respect you, because I want to say this. I think it may be a grievous insult to the character of a man to say, and even though you didn't use these words, we hear it so much in social media, that a man who cannot do 100% is not a man, when
Exactly.
when 100% of the housework is not on women, 100% of the children
Right.
is not on women. So it there, and I don't believe in 50-50 at all. I just think within the dynamics of a family, every person has a hat and has a role, and we support accordingly. So I hear you, and in many things I do agree with, but I think for where we are now, and if our president's pen keeps on stroking where we're gonna go, I think the kids might have to start working pretty soon.
There you go. There you go. We love you, Apostle, but I'm with
You the fellas, I
Brother
get it.
Pastor, Divinity gentleman there. I just think, and if you ask me, I think if you talk to a lot of men today, if that is the prevailing mindset coming from the church, that could be a catalyst as to why the church is not attracted to them, because they're not living that life. They're not living in that reality, especially in this region. And so they're hearing things that are not appealing, and there seems to be no room for them to maneuver in this atmosphere and feel comfortable, because who wants to sit and be here? I'm not a man if I can't take care of everything. You know what I'm saying? And look at the case in point, the thought that came to my mind, Michelle Obama has decided, she stopped appearing at certain functions and kind of supporting Barack. And people said, immediately thought they were getting the divorce. And her thing was, I had a career before I married him, and I want to pursue some things for me. And so we're living in an age now where people are pursuing things for themselves. Now, my mom worked when she worked when she wanted to, because my dad, I did grow up seeing what you're talking about. But I just don't think that's the prevailing mindset now. And I think that is insulting, as Brother Elian said, to a hardworking man that's making $35,000, $40,000 a year. He can't carry that load. I'm not a good man because I can't carry the load. I'm not man enough in the kingdom because I can't carry the load. I just think in some levels that's handling the word of God craftily.
Can I just add one little small thing?
And we love you, Apostle.
This is not.
I love it. No, listen. My skin is thick, my brother. So I'm good. I'm not offended at all. Come on, let's go. It's good.
So I will also add it, and I'm not one to make this churchy at all, but even Christ needed help carrying the cross at one point. The help meet structure. I love women. I'm a die loving women, but like if you can't do nothing, like what we doing here,
Okay, so I listen. Let me be clear about this. These questions, my approach, I know my approach is old. I know I'm an old soul. I get it, and I'm good with that. And I still agree. I still think I'm right. So, and let me tell you why. I'm not arguing a point. I'm gonna tell you. When I say what I say, I know it comes off that, because I think you kind of added more to it. A man's not a man if he can't do it. That's not what I said, right? That's what's implied, because we've been hearing it so long that we put that on. That's not what I said. I said he should not go into it not being able to do it, basically, right? Because again. Because I've seen this happen. Like, a man marry a woman, and they both working. They both depending on her check, right? And she gets sick. I mean, they both can get sick, but she gets sick. Now they have to do it. See, now it puts a certain strain on the family, because now all that weight is on him. He never anticipated that. He was going in, adding in her income. And so my point is that as the male of a home, we have the mandate, we have the responsibility. It's even from God. Like we can go on Genesis. He said, hey man, you build, you subdue, you do this. There's not a man to till the ground. That's why I didn't cause it to rain. So he was dependent on the man to do that particular thing. And she was the helpmate. So she's only helping him what he's doing, which is another discussion about you should never get mad if you don't have a purpose, right? Because if you can't,
Right.
you can't if you don't have a dual purpose. I looked at all these marriages that last forever, and I'm like, what's the common denominator? And one thing I found is that they all have a purpose, and they all are clear on what their purpose is together, to the point they realize they can't even fulfill their purpose without each other. Because I saw that, I heard this one somewhere before, that the minute you understand why you love someone or why you're with someone, the relationship's in trouble. Because you should always be with someone for who they are and not for what they are, right? Like, and so I think sometimes and I'm not getting into marriage things, we're not getting that far. I'm backing out of this a little bit, but I want to be clear about my perspective, that you understand that I'm not saying that he has to carry it all. I think you're right. I think couples should build. I think sometimes when you don't work together, you don't appreciate certain things, and it's easy to stay home. And homework, listen, fellas, I don't know if y'all have ever done the work at home, but homework is work. Doc.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
like, I mean, it's work. So, and I was a single dad, so I had to do it all. I had to work and take care of the kids, and I needed help. Right? I needed big help because my lifestyle, the way it was, I was working late hours, and long story short. But the point I'm making is that I do believe that he should always think that, okay, it's on me. Now, whether it's not on him, doesn't matter. He's always got to think. That's how I think even to this day. When I married my wife, I knew that I was going to have a son. Even though all my boys are like, well, they all move in, I got to have a place for them. I got to be able to support them. So I said, I'm not taking anything on that I can't carry on my own. That's how I go into it. Now, whether she works, and one time she was out of work for a good while. And so it was good, right? Because COVID hit. She wouldn't take the shot because, I didn't take the shot. So she was like, no, I'm not taking that shot. All right. They fired her. She was a nurse. She lost a job. I'm carrying this. Now she can't, all she is a nurse. So what do? I got to carry it. And the philosophy worked for me. So we didn't have the strain on the marriage because I always knew I was going to carry it, right? We didn't have any conflict because I always knew that I would carry it. So what I'm saying is that that's something that we as men, in my opinion, should at least think that way.
Absolutely.
Because then I believe we're pretty solid in that respect. That's just my take. Have to, forced to, no. I don't, but I think that he should always think like that.
I think so. For me, that would be my heart's desire, right? To be able just to take care of the whole family financially, and there's nothing that my wife would have to do. Go ahead, honey. You could just go ahead, sit, chill. Hey, you want to write you a book? Go ahead, go for it, honey. I'll support you. You want to do your business on your own? Yeah, go ahead, honey. I'll support you. I think that's definitely what my heart's desire is, but it's just, in this world that we live in today, especially being a young black man in Connecticut, how do you get to the bag in Connecticut as a young black man to be able to say, I can financially support my family and my wife does not have to work at all, right? And we can get spiritual, and obviously the Lord will give you steps and order your steps, and we can talk, but let's just be real. How does that happen for a young black man in Connecticut, right? Where is the opportunity? Okay, you say, go to school. All right, that's fine. You could go to school. That takes time. So that's about 4 years to get your bachelor's, and then about 2 years to get your degree. So you're married. That's about 6 years if you didn't start the school earlier in your life. Let's say you start school when you got married. So that's about 6 years that y'all have to still work together. And then that's not saying that you're still going to be able to support them financially after the 6 years, take care of the whole family, right? Or you can go ahead and get you a job with the state or go down and work at UPS, but you're never going to be home. So then now you're making all this money with the good job, but you never at home with your family, or you in the truck, You making all that money, but you ain't never at home with your family. Now that's causing riffraff between you and your wife and your kids. Your kids ain't seen you. Now they cutting up at school because you ain't at home. So it's just like, how is it possible for young black men in this state to be able to get to a bag? Because our ancestors, they all came up here for opportunity, right? They had factories, they had jobs and everything. Everybody could move in, right? All these multi-family houses, people was living in together or living in the projects. But now our generation is here, 2-3 generations later, and it's not the same opportunity no more. It's not the same. And yes, you could go to school, empower yourself, but that all takes time. So I'm talking about how is it going to help you in the now, So
I agree. I agree with that, and I did that. I mean, I want to kind of move past this, but I actually did that. Like, I started out really just myself, and I went to work, and I was going to school, and I was also in the church. Now, granted, it cost me, right? I didn't spend enough time. I didn't spend a lot of time with my kids because I was working 2 jobs and going to school, right? So, and again, there's a whole dynamic to that. And to your point, that's a really good point, because it's gonna cost you, right? It's gonna cost you, no matter if you stay home and try to, have a 9-to-5 and be home. That's gonna cost you the opportunity cost of not being home. You being home, it's gonna cost you the job that you can have when you out, right? Long hours. I was in corporate for 23 years, so I was working sometimes all night long, right? A tax guy. So because and again, it costs you, right? Your kids, like, they grow up like, who are you? Dad.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's keeping things going. But they don't, and again, that doesn't matter to them, right? It only matters to you. So, but again, I understand your point. I agree with your point. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just telling you, I think that, there's times when you have to, somebody come pick up, let's go to work. Now, I also say, like Reverend Wells said, there's homework that has to get done now, right? Because she's working, now you got to contribute at home. You got to help with the laundry. You got to help with the baby, right? Because it kind of, right, you pick up, because now she can't do 9-to-5 like you doing 9-to-5, and y'all both coming home. Yep. And she gonna do the work. No, you gotta share that load. But I want to get off that. So we okay? We all
I'm good.
Okay, because I still think I'm right, but that's okay. I'm good with that. I think I got y'all to agree with me too. So anyway, let's
not me.
All right, so let's talk about where we're falling short. I had I've been doing some research on this for a while, actually, is the relevancy that men find, or the lack thereof, of the church as relates to husbands and fathers and the teaching of such and marriage. I've had to learn marriage as I went, right? I had to learn husbandhood as I went. Like, there was no one to, like, sit us down and walk us through what we're getting ourselves into, right? Because it's really a major responsibility to get married and to take on a family, and all the complications that are, I mean, even how to pick a wife, right? We just pick someone we liked and who looked good or who we grew up with, right?
Right.
But even the characteristics of a wife, like, ideally, like, so that was not given to us. We just followed our hormones. Right? Or whatever we thought was attractive. And I want to talk tonight. I'm gonna start with Bishop when we talk about this, is kind of what do you see in that whole, I believe it's a crisis. I know it's a little dramatic, but I believe it's a crisis that we're not really preparing our men. Now, the women get a whole lot of support, right? There's a whole lot of conferences. There's a whole lot of, I did it all by myself, or to the left. There's a whole lot of that. You can make it, you can take it, you don't need a man. All that stuff they're pushing. They're pushing
Right.
all of that. They're literally pushing, you don't need a man in the church. I'm like, I mean, that's a real thing.
Mhm.
And so now you got these young girls who a lot of our young men are now marrying, feeling like, I don't need you. Because every woman I talk to tell me I don't need you. So Pastor, Bishop, I want you to talk to us a little bit about just just come out, however you feel like you want to address this. What's our problem?
I agree with you for one. I think it is a crisis. Something you said, I think that was very poignant, is that, you know, we went by hormones, we went by physicality and emotional connection, and we didn't think of purpose. We didn't think of destiny when choosing mates. We didn't think any of those things. We didn't know those things would be even important when you start walking into your purpose of who God would have you to be. And so a lot of us, you know, made those decisions outside of the Bible with the sense that we just wanted a wife because we didn't want to sin.
Yeah.
Because we were evolving and coming into ministry. I got saved, and my first thought was, okay, I can't fornicate no more, so I need a wife. I didn't choose based on where God was taking me. I didn't even know my purpose at that time, and so I think a lot of us we just made decisions that turned out to be detrimental in the long run if you don't choose based on your purpose. If you don't have someone mentoring and you in those things to understand where you're going, understand where God is taking you, and everything don't have to be a God thing, because that could be career, that could be destiny, that could be there's a whole lot of things wrapped up in that. But I think it really is a crisis, because I don't think we could really, like my man KB said, and I think it's true, like we just don't have the dialogue to say, without people rushing to comparison and kind of dismissing you to say, okay, how do I get the bag? You telling me you got the bag, what you doing? How I get to the bag? Give me some options. What do I do to get to that place, to function on that level of manhood or whatever? And so we just kind of leave people to fend for themselves. And I think it's just been very detrimental. I think it's been harmful in the church. Because again, most of the stuff that was set up for us apostles was just so we wouldn't sin. That was if they saw you with somebody long enough, y'all got to get married, because they weren't thinking whether you were equally yoked or anything like that. They were just trying to get your libido in check, and that was their approach.
Yeah.
When I was younger, that was their approach. Just be in a space where you're not sinning. But that created a whole lot of other drama, because you had broken people coming together. You had unhealed people coming together. You had people with family dilemmas and you know, certain generational issues coming together that never ironed those things out to be able to fit all their stuff in the same car. And so you just had a lot of craziness coming together, and it's manifesting now.
Yeah.
It's manifesting.
All right. KB, talk to us, man. What do you think about the condition of marriage, and as it relates to how we address it, how we deal with it in the church? Are we doing a good job? Are we doing a bad job? What are we doing?
Man, I don't even know what direction to go in. That's so much to talk about with that. I'm thinking about like courtship. How do you court in the body of Christ? Like when people are dating, you know, who is there in the church to say, okay, I see them too. Now let me grab them and let's teach them how to court in the body of Christ, right? Because people want to get married because they want to have sinless sex, right? You want to be able to do your thing and pray right after. If you know if you ain't married, you shouldn't be doing that, right? But I think in the body, no one teaches the young men how to court. Like, hey, bro, that's not your girlfriend. You know, you shouldn't be treating her as such. You shouldn't be in places and spaces as if, you know, you guys are in high school. So I think a lot of the times, you know, we got to grab the men that's coming in to the church and teach them how to court women. You know, hey, bro, this is not an opportunity for you to do whatever. You know, you look in, and I think sometimes you got to really spell stuff out for men. Like, you have to be direct about how things are going. You just can't just leave it up for them to interpret. You got to know this is what it's saying, you know, straight.
So you think men don't know how to court? You think guys come in and they got their rap, they got their line, they got their swag? Because nowadays, and I don't know, I'm an old cat, but nowadays, women to court, men to put the women are aggressive.
Very.
Can I interject something,
yes,
Apostle? I want to interject this because women don't know how to date well either. I was doing a group at my church with the young single women. This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And their mentality was, and I couldn't believe it, that if a man took them out to dinner and spent money on them, then they had to be intimate with them. And these were saved women.
Wow.
And I said, what do you mean you have to be? Y'all don't know how to say you're taking me out and you ain't getting nothing. And they said it's not like that now, or you won't be going nowhere. These were saved, sanctified women, single women that said this to me, and they were dead serious.
So wait, so now I'm just,
so it ain't just the men. It ain't just the men.
So you got now. Granted, of course, because I so yeah, that's
the men got a lot to contend with, because if you try to date properly, there were times when I was single and I would not engage. I wasn't kept all the time I was single. I'm not going to tell you that lie.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were times when I was trying. You get accused of, what's wrong with you? You gay? You know, all issues come into play because you're trying to be kept.
Right.
And now you got to break somebody back. Oh, excuse me, I'm on the line. You got to do some things just to prove a point.
Can I interject?
Because I'm not going to let you insult my manhood.
Come on, Wells.
So I want to go back to your question. Where's the church failing in addressing men? And I think right here is where we're failing. Right here, Bishop just had brought us into like the ego, right? Like I'm still a man, but I'm trying, or I'm not trying. I'm not succeeding in my try, whatever that looks like sexually, right? And so I think these conversations are too taboo in our communities, and so I think that the first thing we have to do is we've got to put, I mean, no disrespect to nobody, because we don't know who will see this, but I think we have to put the collar down. We have to put even the Bible down. I think when it comes to men, we use the Bible like it's a dictionary, and it's like, wait,
right.
Jesus had 12 guys following him, and they were committed, consistent. What was he doing that we not doing that worked so well for him then that's not working for us? And so I think we really got to put some stuff down and get real with like, yo, you like Shorty, and I know why you like Shorty. I just need you to know, bro, in about 3 years, Shorty gonna have you in court. I've been there. Shorty watching you. I want you to pay attention, bro. This is what Kyle was just saying. I don't think you mind if I call you by your first name.
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro. Yeah.
You know, this is what he was saying. It's like, I think that, and this is the teaching of courtship. I don't think it's, we all know how to spit. I think men are the greatest psychiatrists on the earth. We'll pick at that thing till we get it. We gonna get it. We'll keep picking. I think what courtship is failing in is, I think we are all dating what we want based on how we feel in the moment. You get out of a
In the
bad
moment.
relationship, you got to get a better chick. You got to get a younger chick. She got to have a better body. She got to be doing better here. You get what I'm saying? And I think the courtship should be, bro. And this is actually a conversation I just had with someone this week. What you looking at is going to find you in the same condition that you just got out of. You have a problem with them 9.5. You need to go find you a 4. Find you a 4 that you can handle, that you can tolerate, and love that 4 like it's a 17. But that 9.5, that knows she a 9.5. Oh, bro,
They come with their own inherent. They come with their own inherent issues.
And those issues, just like we come with problems, that everybody got baggage, right? And everybody got that. And I think that us having, it's a little difficult here because we don't know who's watching, so it's hard to be transparent. But in more settings, do I believe men need to come together, not for preaching. I really wish we could, if there's anything I wish we could stop, is some of the churchiness behind our gatherings.
Thank you, young man. I appreciate that.
Much love,
You
Bishop.
speaking the sentiments of my heart.
Yeah, if I think and I'm all, if you know me, I'm all for the word. I love the word. I love to teach the word. Love to preach the word. But when you close the Bible, how do you live as not just a Christian, but as a dad, as not just a Christian, but as a husband? And it's disappointing to know that the church is failing so many men of color, when the church is so chauvinistic. Like one of the places where women are degraded the most is the church. It's full of them. Mm-hmm. But the place that really puts men on a higher pedestal, it's the church. And so we've got to really put our minds together and think of something we haven't seen, maybe a place we haven't been. But I think it starts with us just being honest and saying, yo, bro.
And it's not cookie cutter either. It's not cookie cutter. Everybody's picture. I remember when I had the same mindset as Apostle. I love you, brother. Mm-hmm. And I had just started pastoring a church, and then I was still working in New Jersey in corporate. And so sometimes I was leaving at 5, 6 in the morning, leaving from New Jersey, going straight up to the church to Bible study, getting home late at night. I literally wouldn't see my daughter till the weekends. And what was my awakening, man? I would take time off to go to their trips and stuff, because I've been on my job long enough. But what was an awakening to me was one day I'm sitting there with her, and she was I'm forgetting how old she was. I'm sitting there as dad, and she says to me, I got to call my mom and see if I could go do this. And I looked at her, I said, you got to call your mom? And I'm sitting right here. Apostle, that broke my heart, but it awakened me like, okay, she don't even with me doing what I do, she don't even know the role I play.
Yeah.
In terms of helping her to navigate like that. She can ask me something. I was just a big playmate to her right then and there, playing gin or whatever we was playing. But when it got serious and she wanted to go to her aunt's house or something, I got to call my mom and see if I could go. And that was the awakening to me. Like, okay, I got to try to be present more. So when my company moved, that's when I transitioned into full-time ministry, because for years, I just was not in the house, and weekends I'm tired. I'm sleeping because I'm having 15, 16-hour days. I'm not seeing her awake until the weekend, and I stay home one day, and you don't even know the role I play. And from that point on, I took anytime she went on class trips, anything, I took days off to go do that then, because I was out of the loop. But it was a wake-up call.
Wow. One of the things I'm listening to these young men, and I agree that we do not talk straight, and we got to bring the Bible into everything. We got to somehow or another, everything becomes a scripture or everything. But then you're right. There's those areas of life, which I'm sure there's lessons in the Bible to help us teach. But
absolutely.
But there are things there's areas in our lives that we like. How do you date? Like how do you treat a woman?
Right.
You know, one of the things that I always I told my wife, I tell everybody, I said, I really learned chivalry from the Temptations. Was it Temptations? How to treat a lady? How to treat her like a lady?
Treat her like a lady.
Or like all that stuff. I was like,
or Find 100 Ways, right? We had to listen to songs, Find 100 Ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how we learned, right? Because nobody was sitting us down having the conversation about the femininity of a woman, right? How a woman functions, what you should see in a woman, what kind of conversation, you know. I mean, and this
or
is God's
how to be a father, apostle, if the relationship don't work.
Exactly, right? I mean, we don't spend time teaching this, and the question is, why? Like, why are we not doing what Brother Elon said? Why are we not doing that? Why are we not like, okay, close the book. Hey, this is how this goes. Like, you want that 9, but that 9 is a problem, Doc. You ain't seen it coming yet. But the 4 over here, she gonna make your home, right? She gonna be there when you get sick. She gonna ride or die with you when things fall apart. But that 9, she got something else going on.
I ain't agreeing with the good, bright Reverend Ellen on that, because all 9s ain't bad.
I was just getting ready to say that. No, I was just getting ready to say you got some 4s with 9 attitudes, and you got some
9s with 4 attitudes, man. So I ain't gonna do that to my sisters now.
On who you are, and I'm saying, for me as a person, I can't front with you. Looks matter. I know folks say looks don't matter.
It matters.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do. I struggle to even have a plain conversation with somebody I'm not attracted. It does nothing for me.
Now you talking real.
You get what I'm saying? So when I say like looking at 9s, I have a type. They gotta be beautiful, but some of them beauties is not. All the screws are not tight. They're not bolted in. They need some extra work. So now I guess, Pastor, what my question to you is, I think each person on here, even if we don't operate at the rank of the pastorate, I think we all have that type of call in the community or within the spaces that we occupy. So we are starting to do this, right? I think among even our friend circles, would it be a pro or a con, or maybe even both, to continue to encourage that these type of conversations happen on a continual basis, like in more intimate but also unintimate ways, you know, not just 1 to 2 brothers, but get everybody, get call your cousins, call the ones that don't come to church. How about we change the venue? We're not gonna even meet at the church.
Right.
Maybe Aunt cuss too much and he feel like the S is just gonna slip out. Whatever. We could meet at Buffalo Wild Wings, wherever you want to meet. But I think the first thing we am I wrong to ask that the first step is that we got to catch the fish, and then we can clean it after, but we got to get his attention first.
I agree 100%. I listen, and Bishop Wilkinson can tell you, the Lord gave me a vision for what I call G26, and it's interfaith, so it's not specifically about Christianity. In fact, the focal point is on the man, is on the things surrounding the men, and for that reason. And I've already organized. This right here is a part of it. Like what we're doing tonight, having discussions, is where the Lord said, start there. having these talks, have these conversations, because eventually what I want to do is I want us to meet at the hotel. I already have it in my mind, man, the launch of where men can gather, and we're talking about men issues, different, and all these. And we can lay that out a little later, but that's good. I'm glad you said that, man, because you're not wrong for saying that. We absolutely need that, because I think what happens in Christianity, right, is again we don't want to tell people what we think, right? We're not honest, like you said. These things are taboo, right? We don't want to tell people about our sex escapades or the struggles we have or the things that we're attracted to, the indiscretions. We don't want to tell about the things that we struggle with, because somehow it comes off as weak. It comes off as you're not saved, but you're human, right? You are a man, and men by nature have to release.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like men all they want is sex. No, see, we have to have sex. Like, our bodies we're seed carriers, and people don't want to talk about that, right? They don't want to talk about, and you wonder why these men end up in prisons and they end up jumping on top of each other. Like, listen, man, it's a real problem, right? It's a real problem. And again, I want to be honest about this kind of stuff, and that's why I wanted to talk to you younger gentlemen, because you're at that point now. You're like, stop. This generation is like, we didn't do that. I'm 56, right? We dare not do that when we were like younger. We were like, we're trying to be saved. We're trying to do the right thing, and we're trying to make sure we don't get caught. And then we, whatever. I was wilding through the church, but we were trying to, we were trying like, but
more grace,
again,
more grace,
right? Went to church for girls, right? That was, conventions was about the girls, right? I mean, in my day, I don't know what they do now, but
it's still about them. Well, it's the girls and the boys now.
But the point is, the pulpit's still off now.
We don't do enough about this subject, and I think, to your point, and I don't know if the church. Let me ask you a question: do you think the church is ready for this?
So,
I mean,
you have to be ready for it.
Yes,
exactly.
So, I just submitted a paper to my professor, Dr. Turman, and in the paper, what my overall goal is to communicate is that I think the church may need a crucifixion period, and the reason why is I think that there's a lot of harm that we've done with what we're not ready for, what we feel like we can't change, etc. And I think in order to really see the church expand to its glorious estate, to what the church is supposed to be in the earth, I think we may see a season of silence coming. And I do wonder if COVID was the time for us to really use to get here right. If you look at the Black church, I love the Black church. I'm a product of it, but there's something wrong with the thinking of the Black church. And so, while we might not be ready for it, I don't think the country is ready for a Black president. I don't think that when they passed the boycott for the buses, those cities weren't ready for it. I think we have to move in a direction that says, okay, this has not worked, and a lot of this was not God anyway. Yep. So let's as we continue to find, I don't think we know God, but as we continue to find Him, let's try some other things, and I don't mean lower the standard of righteousness. I really mean let's try to reach these people so that everyone can meet that standard.
But you know what? What's not offensive to me, but it's sensitive to me, is that we always have to state, we're not trying to lower the standard because we're so religious minded.
Right.
We have to always state when we're just trying to merge humanity and theology on a sustainable level.
Right.
You should know, if you're talking to me, I'm not trying to discredit the Bible.
Right.
But there's a lot of, I done seen 6 generations of theology that I've been saying for the last 20 years was not sustainable. It just was not sustainable. It didn't make sense, but it sounded good. And it made a lot of people money. And it prospered them, but it was not a sustainable. I heard guys preaching that you could reject sickness, you could do this, and they having strokes and getting sick. You know, it wasn't, what you were saying was not sustainable, but it sounded good then, and people wanted to hear that. It came a certain prosperity. You had your wife, so you was being kept. To find out behind the scenes, you wasn't even happy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in those areas, it has really been harmful. And as you were saying, let's put the Bible down and have some real discussion and merge, not override theology with humanity. But I'm a critical thinker, so if it don't make sense to me, it's hard for me to embrace it. As much as I love revelation and illumination and all that, even when I hear somebody preach and they say something that's supposed to be a revelation, if they explain it and I still can't understand it, you know, somebody can give you a deep revelation. You say, okay, I could see that. But then sometimes they could say something, you sit there and say, no, it just don't make sense, even though they're trying to give an explanation. It's just not sustainable. And I've seen these shifts in the church, because you're 56, I'm 62. I've seen generations of change in the church, and for the church to be at this space where it is now, it's almost a digression to me. It's a digression to me. Granted, some of the things were going on and they just didn't have social media to reveal it. And so what they're saying now is the kingdom has changed. No, the kingdom, certain things have not changed, is the exposure has changed.
Yeah.
You can't get away with being what you're not now like you could 20 years ago and nobody talked about it.
Right.
Somebody gonna put you on blast.
Yep.
And that's the change.
Right.
Because the foundational dialogue, as you said, Apostle, has really not changed. Jesus the same yesterday and today forevermore. It's how we navigate in this realm that has shifted.
Yeah.
So I tell people, you don't have to blackmail me. I'm going to tell you my issues. You go post what you want.
So
I've lived out my stuff in public.
I heard that. Why are we afraid to be transparent? Why are we afraid to be? I mean, why do we keep hiding? Why do we keep?
Because we're not forgiving people.
Yeah.
We're not as
supposed to be the
forgiving.
men of God.
Yeah, we're not as forgiving and compassionate as we preach. I taught a message on yesterday. The hardest place in my life as an adult for me to establish an identity was in the church. I knew who I was on my job. I knew who I was when I played sports. I knew who I was. I knew I was a running back number 41. Whether I was starting or second string, I had no question about my identity. When I played baseball, in the military, I was a sergeant. I knew that was a general. On the job, I knew who was what. Only in the church can your identity change so quickly. As soon as somebody had the issue with you, you can go from being up here to down here.
Yep.
The instant everybody thought Eddie Long was anointed till they found out what his struggle was. And so that struggle with the identity, we don't have the compassion we say we have. We don't have the mercy of people when they have failures. It's not safe.
Are we hypocrites?
Yeah, very much so. Falling in the church is not safe. It's dangerous.
And you said earlier, Bishop, that the church is the most chauvinistic place.
No, he's Brother Elliott there, but I agree with him.
I said the church is and what I mean is that I think the black church in many ways models after slave plantations.
Absolutely.
I think that women, even if you go back and I'm going to say the name, but I mean no disrespect to like the teachings of Mother Boyd and several people. If you listen to how they teach women to be wives, it's like, wait, are you a wife, or are you like a field slave? Like, what do you? It's something missing, and so that's what I meant. And so like, and even a lot of the support groups around women today are directly responding to the harmful teachings of the church. So when they say you don't need a man, they're only saying that because of the negative things that they were told if you didn't have one. Well, I think both sides, there's something wrong with both sides. They're battling the harmfulness of the old day.
Wow.
It's been harmful, sir. It's been, I mean, when you're in a particular community, of course, the best people you're going to know are going to be in that community, and the worst people you're going to know are going to be in that community. But in alignment with our word, we just don't live up to that.
Yeah.
We can't fall in front of people and get the grace that we're supposed to have. Not as no pastor. If I was going through what I went through as a brother, I might have survived it. Going through what I went through as a pastor, it taught my church. Yeah. Let's be real, because people don't have mercy and grace on a pastor.
So, at the beginning of the year, a video surfaced from Virginia where the young girl was pregnant, and the pastor made her stand up and apologize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
And look at how they treated her, a child.
Yep.
Can you imagine what they have to say about the pulpit? And we all know. I love the Black church, but we all know a lot of the ones who told us to be holy and be righteous and were hard on us.
Yeah.
When they passed away, we found out Bishop had other kids. We found you. So
we found out Bishop used to like
Y'all stop saying Bishop. Y'all, I'm the only Bishop on the line.
Girlfriends. Yep.
I'm not talking about you though.
I had to do that when I had my son out of wedlock. I had to stand, and somebody asked me like, "Well, what did you do?" I said, "Well, you see him walking around. You know what I did. Like, why do I have to explain that?"
Right.
But I have to stand up and ask for forgiveness and
I'm
the
not
whole
against. I'm not against one person owning to something. Now, if you lead in a certain area, I'm not against you saying, you know,
I wasn't a leader.
No, but I'm just saying in general, like I'm not against it if someone leads in something. Let's say I've been teaching for the last 5 years that 5 + 5 is 8. And I got 1,000 people follow me that say 5 + 5 is 8. When I realize I'm wrong, I'm not against saying, you know what, y'all, we might need to get some help from somebody.
Right.
That's not right.
That's
but
good.
I am against, and I don't care who it is. I am against to take the name, especially of a man who is supposed to have a level of pride to. I believe that. I believe a man should have some pride to him. And nakedly embarrass that individual, male, woman, boy, girl, publicly. Where did we get that from? That's not our culture. We inherited that from the other side, and I think that's one of the things we need to get back. And if we talk about where the church has lost men at, that might be one of the places, is that you get up and you preach about how I'm supposed to be the provider or the leader. And I'm not talking about anyone here, but I've heard that several times from other pastors. But, you know, I also have to show up every Saturday to the church's food pantry so that I can make sure my family have enough food in the house. And I'm doing the best I can to pay the bills. But they jumping me. It's only one me, and it's about 9 of them. My kids got clothes on their back and shoes on their feet, but every other area of my life is not where the church says a man or a man of God should be. And so you have this internal struggle. So it's like we have some brothers that we not losing to sin. Everybody don't got a problem with their flesh.
Say that.
Everybody not gay. Everybody, that's not everybody.
Say that.
testimony. But I think there is a great portion of brothers that we're missing because we are just kind of continuing things that y'all get what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
Right? Okay.
This is hard hitting, man. This is good.
Yeah.
I think that we have to really it's starting tonight, right? I think there's men. I won't be surprised if the other men having these conversations. They may not be having them on a public platform,
Right.
but they're definitely having these conversations. And I believe that we're going to have to really, really kind of, because the church is really locked down. Like you can't really, like this kind of talk right here. I mean, we have this conversation in any church service or around any group of the typical church congregation. You can hear the pushback already.
Absolutely.
Right, you can hear it in your head. You don't have to say it. You already know where it's coming because they've been so programmed to believe what they believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has been so forced and driven and cemented in their psyche
Mhm.
Yes.
that it's almost impossible for them to think any other way. It's almost like,
Yes.
right, you got to almost reprogram the whole. Now, I think there's a little attention because a lot of women, and again, in our churches are single, right? Now, I don't believe a lot of them are single. I believe a lot of them are single.
They ain't married.
But they doing stuff.
Right.
All I'm gonna say to that, Pastor, is if somebody fornicating, they can't be doing it by themselves. So if they're fornicating, they sleeping with somebody.
And the sad thing is, they're in the trap too, because they've already subscribed to the whole philosophy of what they're preaching from the pulpit or whatever they're preaching it from. So they have to hide now too, because they have these desires, they have these wants, right? So they're doing stuff because the brothers, again, like you said, they're not doing it by themselves.
Yep.
No.
So I think it's incumbent upon us as a people to say, okay, stop the nonsense, right? Just kill it, because you're not helping these young ladies. They're getting married and then they're getting divorced, right? They don't know how to be a wife. You're not even teaching them how to be a wife. You're teaching them how to be single.
Yeah.
Because that's the driving message. Because a lot of them won't even put up. I don't say put up. Won't even. Let's talk about this word submissive.
Oh God.
Once you start talking about this word submissive, it's almost
sounds
like
like a
you
cuss
cut
word.
somebody out.
That's the cuss word, man.
Right?
You just
It's like-
cussed right there.
And again, the best part of a woman is her femininity. Right? She's not good masculine. Like there's nothing about her that's desirable. And this is the thing too. A lot of men struggle. I'm not fighting with you.
Right.
I'm not arguing with you. Like I gotta contend with you, and then gotta come home and I go out and contend with the world, and then come home. I gotta deal with. Man, listen. And I think the problem is there's nobody teaching women how to be wives, how to be feminine, how to be submissive, right? How to follow. You thought because they're being taught by a bunch of leaders, and a lot of leaders, female leaders, because of what they did to themselves, right? It has nothing to do with the man, because a lot of stuff that a lot of our women are talking about, I've come to realize it ain't the brother. It ain't the brother. Because brothers are pretty simple.
Yep.
Brothers,
Very simple.
Not that hard.
we're pretty simple, right? And we don't ask for a whole lot.
Mhm.
So, and most of these divorces that they're talking about, these are women divorcing men. Look at the numbers, right? I mean, the numbers don't lie. That's why I always go to the numbers. You can tell, man, do it. I go to the numbers. Look at the numbers. And the numbers tell us that these women are not, they don't know how to keep a home. They don't respect the idea of keeping a home. Listen, I'm telling you, I'm being transparent. I'm married now. My wife she does, like Sunday before church, she was cleaning the floor before church. Like, that's a wife, Doc. That's like she wants dinner on the table. She does the wife thing. I'm still like looking around here. Oh my God, they still make them like you. And she was single for a long time. Right? So I got a 10 that like a 4.
But Pastor, you might have got the last one. You better hold it.
Somebody else said that to me. I said, I can't believe that, man. I can't believe it. And
I don't believe that either.
I said to my wife, I said, you gotta teach this stuff. I said, you gotta teach this stuff. Because my wife is at a point, she get anything she wants from me and don't have to fuss, don't have to yell, none of that, because of how she makes my world, man.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to it. I know the difference. I look forward to coming home.
Yeah.
I used to. I've been in a situation. I've drove around the block. I've worked overtime. I've found something else to do.
Sit in the car. Right?
I'm not saying it was all their fault. I'm just saying that the house was toxic.
Yeah.
Right.
But to like get out of work and be like, can't wait to get in the driveway. And when every night I come home, I got a smile and a kiss, fellas, at the door. I ain't never asked for that. But that's what I'm talking about. Like this kind of stuff, we don't. And I said, where'd you learn this? She said, well, I watched my mother and my father, who are not in the church.
Ain't that something?
Who are not in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother cooks for her husband every day. Breakfast, dinner, does laundry, takes care of that every day without miss. And that's what I'm like, this got to be taught.
Yeah.
This has to be taught.
Yeah.
And I sad enough, I think it's going to have to come from men.
Why is that sad?
Because it should come from women. Because
it should come from women.
it should come from women, but it's going to have to come from us. It's going to have to come from men. Now, the hard thing about that is it's going to be almost like self-serving, right? Because like, how
That's
do
the
you?
issue, yeah.
Yeah, because now all you trying to do is make sure
You want me to be a servant.
got you. But you don't understand that that's your glory, right? That's if you understand this, then you will really be fulfilled if you kind of accept that role. The reason why you're so cranky and mad and frustrated is because you're trying to be me.
But isn't that Bible? Isn't that what the proverbial woman does? And then her husband sits in the gate and brags about her because she does all the things that you're talking about. If you want to go Bible, the woman in Proverbs
But why
that her husband boasts about is that kind of woman.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you this. It blew my mind, and I knew that this woman was on a whole different level. We were at and I'm gonna tell you who they are. We were at convocation at COP, Bishop J.C. White. I was part of the organization at one point, and I was a Secretary General, and my job was to kind of help with the conferences and convocations. And so we brought back in the processional, right? The processional that we're going to march in, the whole thing, and everybody's in their big regalia and all that stuff. So I was along with Jack Brantley, who comes on our live here. Along with him, we're organized that. And so Jack asked me to ask Mother White if she would. She was already in line, and she to move into a different, like if she can go to a different space, a different part of the line. And I said, and I was respectful of Mother White, Mother, could you please da-da-da-da. And she said, Bishop, pastors asked me to move. Is it okay I move? This is in front of we were in line. She asked for permission from her husband if she can listen to what I just said. And I said that level of submit, like in front of I respected it.
Yeah.
I respected it because it was like next level. Now, and he said yes. He didn't say,
I want no
he didn't say,
problem.
why are you asking me? No, he said, yes, dear, you can. Yeah. You want to talk about that right? And now you wonder why they 50, 60 years in.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that is the respect, right? That's that level. And I think that a lot of us are not teaching this. And we talked about the men tonight, right? Because we're not being taught that either. Like I didn't know anything about being a father. I didn't know anything about being a husband. I knew how to have sex, right? I was having sex since I was 7 years old. I was molested. So I was having sex all through my adolescence. Sex was easy for me. And part of the reason why marriage was so attractive to me because I had so much, I was so promiscuous. So I really wanted to be settled. And I'm gonna tell you how I chose my first wife. I had 2 girls that liked me. Just God's honest truth, Holy Spirit be my judge, God my witness. I was in college, and I said the girl who writes me, that's who I'm gonna marry. And that's how I picked it.
Wow.
That was it. Now, I was crazy. I mean, it worked out because I have 3 beautiful children, but I had to be so like, who picks like that? Right? Who chooses like that?
You blame it on God.
I had a hairline when I got married. That's all.
Welcome to the club, man. That baldy, baby.
Nothing there now.
So fellas, tonight we're gonna wrap this up. So I want to say this. I know we were all over the place tonight, and it's partly my fault. I'll take all of it. But I do believe that I heard some things tonight that will help shape kind of what we need to do, right? Because I really see these meetings as gathering data, right? Gathering perspectives, understanding kind of putting this together as to how do we form this alliance with men not centered around a church service, like every male meeting I've seen on social media, it has to do with church, right? Men of honor, men of valor, men of, we're always trying to make it something, and even G26 is really Genesis 3. It's Genesis 1:26, but it just deals with what God intended for man to be, right? That's really the focal point. Because we're not doing that, and we don't have the right, like we're not passing anything on. Like the word tells us that the older men were to tell the stories of the times, like the things they've been through. Like that was part of the Jewish culture. Yeah. Tell all of them what happened. Tell all the stories. Give all of it, whether they liked it, whether it was negative, whether it was whatever it was, tell the story. Yeah. And then tell them how to be wives, how to be husbands. One of the things I read in the Jewish community that when a brother was caught or he had an issue with his wife, domestic violence, whatever it was, they didn't call the cops. The men got together, went to that dude's house, and dealt with him. Yeah. That's how they handle their matters. And we don't even, we gossip like the women gossip.
Yeah. And if I could say, we don't, in the Black communities, we don't put each other on. We just leave everybody to figure it out.
Why is that, man? Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
That tribal? Is that tribal mentality that we?
It goes back, man. We had 400 years of setback, man, and so it became. That's what I do agree with Miles, that trauma can be passed down generationally. I don't know scientifically if it's in the sperm or whatever. I don't, but it can be passed down generationally. And so we came here on a boat, looking the same, speaking 200 different languages. So they were on the boat that couldn't even communicate. Wow. Because there's how many different dialects of African. So we sitting here, I'm looking at a little Black man that I can't even communicate with because I don't know the language. And then we get here and we get indoctrinated into a culture that abuses us, has a 400 years start in labor, of free labor. So we've been behind the 8 ball trying to catch up ever since, and even in the church, because the Bible was used to manipulate and control us. And some preaching and some teaching, someone said that it still sounds like that. When you hear it, it sounds like that old slave master mentality of manipulation and control. And it's just been embedded in us. But see, when I hear it now, it triggers shutdown in me because I know what I'm hearing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you've gone to school and you know historical context of scripture and cultural context and all those certain things, just okay, I'm not receiving that in my ear gate. That's that old slave master mentality of control. And you're handling the word of God deceitfully to control people and manipulate people.
Yeah.
You know, I want to ask this question. I'm going to ask, does anybody in the audience have any questions, women, ladies, or those of you who are in the audience? If you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll address them before we go. But I do want to ask my brother, Brother Wells, man. I mean, we mentioned earlier that you're newly divorced. I didn't know that. And but how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, because divorce is tough, right? And we typically, men go through it alone.
Yep.
Right. We go through it alone. Women, they got their posses, right? They got people that don't even like them. They'll like them when they get divorced.
Because it's what it is. It's information, right?
Yeah.
And women love to. They call it tea. They want to know. They want to know everything. So support is always going to be there for them. But God is good. I'm good. Okay. And that's not a churchy response. Trust me.
I get it. And that's the thing, man, because I think that you know, I've been through two of them, right? And when you go through, you know, because again, you know, like you said, it's the constituency in the church is the women. So they got all the support in the world. You know, they may have a little shame, a little embarrassment because whatever they're going through, but at the end of the day, you know, they're gonna be good because they're gonna get a lot of validation, you know, and you're gonna be the villain, you know.
Yeah, always.
Even if they mess up, you're gonna be the villain, right?
Absolutely.
If they cheated on you, it's because
something
you wasn't doing.
You did something wrong, right?
You can be working. During COVID, I had 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job, bringing in great money, and that's a problem. You're not home enough, so then you stop working. That's a problem. You're not working enough. So what I say is honestly, you got to get to a point where you really just you don't care what people think about you or what they think they know about you. You know what you did, you know what you didn't do, and it's life. You can't say you've lived until you've lived through every area of life. Now, I wasn't always where I am now with this, but when I tell you. And I enjoy the courting process. So it's like, I lost one, but let me find my next 9. You know,
we're gonna stay at a 9. Huh?
Yeah, I believe in marriage. I believe in the institution of it. My first one just didn't work out. It's nothing that others haven't endured before. And I will also say I'm grateful for my church community. Mind that when you really going through things, it's nothing like having a set of brothers that you can talk to and some women that you can talk to, that's going to tell you where you went wrong, that's going to tell you how to get back on your feet, that's not going to let you waddle in self-pity or insecurity. Like, nah, bro, you how long you gonna sit there and cry over this? You got to get up. You got to get back to life. It goes on. And so thank you for asking, Pastor. But
and that's different. That's
good.
Because
the Pastor, we get pushed into isolation.
Oh, that's different. Like you literally, I mean, And again, like, you're not even to point fingers, just being young and traumatized, or not having, like, going through life, like, you know, we two people who are broken hooking up with each other, right? And then you getting married, you trying to carry a whole family. Of course, it's designed for a disaster. There's no, it's almost inevitable that you're gonna blow up. So, but the point is that, you know, there was a time when there's nobody reaching out to you. Like, you come from a community, ain't nobody calling, nobody's like asking you, yo, you all right? Like, where are you? Like, they know you ain't home no more. They know you out here. And I had a pastor at the time. It was I love her to life. I mean, she called me. She said, she thought to herself, and she wasn't even pastoring my church at the time. And she heard that we had split up, whatever. And she was like, he's out there all by himself. So she called me. She said, hey, you all right? I said, yeah, you know, trying to make it make sense, right? And I had a cousin who called me and asked me, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Now, I come from a huge church community. Ain't nobody studying you. People stop speaking to me. Right? Literally, like,
a lot of my friends. Yeah.
You are that N-word. Right?
Yeah.
And having asked you what you were running from, don't even know what you're dealing with, don't even know what you're up against, and really don't care. Because it didn't work. It had to be your fault, and we got to blame somebody, and that's how that goes.
That's how it goes.
That's different. I'm glad you got the support, man, because
I
thought, when you told me that, I thought about myself at your age, you know, that season in my life where, like, dang, man,
that's phenomenal that you got the testimony of having that support, because it don't exist like that, not for us.
So it wasn't like that from everybody, but when I tell you, man, I never look at my church the same. There were seasons I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Why? Let me tell you, I know why I'm at my church. Them people had my. I'd probably be in jail somewhere if it wasn't for my church. I'm telling you.
Praise God.
That's a blessing.
God for that.
Yeah, that's a blessing, bro.
Because a lot of brothers do end up in jail.
Yep.
Because of that.
You can only push somebody but so far. And I'm not gonna, you know, trash talk anybody. I will not. Yeah. But you can only push a person but so far.
Yeah.
So I pray for young men that's going through these seasons, because it's not easy for nobody. It's not easy by any means.
And we got to keep having these conversations, man.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
Brother KB, young father, you got two children, and you blending a family. You said one of the babies are not your biological, but you accept it as your own. And how you doing, man? How's it going for you?
Oh man, it's definitely it's going good. God is keeping us. He's helping us. You know, I'm just like any father that's out there thinking about how my next step. You know, do I need to change careers? Do I need to be able to have this and this in order and that in order to get the house and get this? You know, all the things that you would want for your family. You know, I'm always constantly thinking of. But I'm at the place now where I'm just really learning how to be a father. I'm enjoying the community that I do have as well at New Vision. Older men that's pouring into me and talking to me about fatherhood. I was like maybe about 23 when I lost my dad. So I definitely do. I do remember a lot that he poured into me, but it's certain questions that, you know, when I was 28 when I had my first son. And then I was 26 when I had my daughter, but she was already about 2.5. So, you know, she was already out of the phase of, you know, she was in pull-ups by then. So, you know, I didn't know how to change a diaper, and I didn't know how to, you know, be a father. So it's just learning those things, and just really being strapped with patience. You know, I'm really learning how to be patient and just to, you know, give everything to the Lord, you know, but I'm doing just fine. Our marriage is fine, and God is good. And I'm just in the place now where I'm just seeking the Lord for what's next and following Him, you know. And but I'm grateful, man, and I'm grateful to be on this this was awesome tonight. You know, this is some real talk right here, and this is how we get better in the church, by doing things just like this.
Yeah. I think that we have to, like my brother Will was saying, we have to come together and like really grab these brothers. Let's just have because there's other brothers who want to be on this platform, and I'm gonna bring them, and we're gonna talk more. And I don't want to like trade off. You know, the only reason why other brothers are not here because they just didn't show up or they got something else going on. I know Brother Holmes is traveling; he's coming from London. But I'm not going to exclude you guys from this. You're welcome to come every time we have it. And because we do want your point of view, we do want your perspective. The reason why I thought it was important tonight to talk about the challenges and again, kind of what I thought, but I learned something about what young men are dealing with. Like, you know, it's a whole different dynamic, you know, like we had a certain set of rules that we kind of went by. Good or bad, we didn't even think about it. Like we didn't think we had a choice. It was what they said, right? But at least you gentlemen are like, no, I got a choice. I could think different about this. Let's look at it differently. Let's stop playing games with ourselves. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to benefit from this generation, Bishop, is the transparency, right? The honesty, the willingness to step away from the Bible and not feel like they're abandoning their faith. Right, because one of the things that I really I try to do is I try to be a bridge between my spirituality and my humanity. You know, we gotta really connect that because I am human and God is not intimidated by my humanity. I often teach that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And so we have to keep that in consideration when we are dealing with our humanity. And I think that's where there's not enough grace, not enough room to grow. Because we're always trying to be something that we're not made to be, right? And a lot of our issues, I think, in the church is really just being human. At the end of the day, I think we put a lot of things on spiritual stuff. That's because we just don't want the responsibility of discipline, right? Or, you know, you just want to blame somebody. You got to blame the devil, right? You got to blame your flesh. Well, blame you. Like you did it, right? You know, and I got to find out why I'm doing this. That's the reason. I mean, my second divorce, I was like, wait a minute, this is you. Something wrong with you, right? So I had to come to terms with like, I need therapy, right? I need help, right? Because I have all this Bible, I have all this word, I have all this stuff. Why am I failing at this?
Right.
You know, I could teach it, but why can't I do it?
Right.
I know what to do, but why can't I do it? So I got help, and I think that was one of the things that we don't want to do. You know, we don't want to say, listen, you need to sit down with somebody.
Right.
And not somebody who's churchy that's going to speak a bunch of scriptures to you and tell you that it's the devil and you got to, no, somebody, I sat down with a therapist like, oh, you carrying around this shame. You don't love yourself because of what you've been through. I mean, I'm in church and he's like, yeah, you that guy. He's saying, you got to get that fixed. You gotta let that go. And so once I started embracing that, then I was like healthy spiritually, healthy emotionally, healthy mentally. And so I could pick better. Now I could see the woman, right? I could see the woman that works for me, right? Works with me. I could choose better, right? Because I am better. So brothers, I think this is critical for us to continue. And I want us to, you guys, I know I come with all the topics, but I want you guys to start throwing some stuff out there as to what we could talk about, because I think that we really need to, next week, maybe have one of you guys kind of lead the thought process, because I think it'll be healthy to hear from you, right? You know, our jobs now is to really try to help, you know, the younger generation as they're coming up, you know, and as you are helping the guys coming behind you. You know, I think that brother KB, he has a bunch of young men that he works out with. I think I seen you on social media. You're out there working out, running around stadiums, and
it's called Big Brothers in Christ.
Okay.
We get together every Saturday, rain or shine. I have a location also for inside, and yeah, man, we have a group chat, but you only can have 20 people in group chats now. iPhone got some weird thing going on, so
okay,
we got about 20 guys in there, but we literally just encourage one another. We make sure that brothers are not walking in isolation, and we work out with one another, you know. And then it's really, it's really birthed off The Forge. Because The Forge, man, I watched The Forge. If whoever's listening to this, if you've never seen The Forge, you got to watch that. It's a powerful movie, and it just really shows you what brothers can really do and impact other brothers, right? And can really help put other brothers on and really help brothers walk this thing out, because people need to understand how to live this lifestyle called Christianity. You know, Sunday is cool, but how are you living on Monday? So that's how we are really, that's what this group is about. It's helping people how to live. And then we get together on Saturdays, work out, and just discuss. We always start with prayer and we end with prayer, you know. So even the lap, we do a lap around the track, but it's strategic because we're telling the brothers, hey man, go ahead and pray. You know, you pray out loud, whatever the Lord's leading on your heart, begin to pray. And then we tell the brothers, hey, you pray in your voice. The same way that you're talking is the same way that you pray to God. Because, you know, some brothers think that they got to get real deep.
My God.
I knew he was going.
Praying in King James, or they got to put on a preacher voice. You know, they got to get that nasal sound. Hey, man, you don't have to have that nasal sound.
Right.
Just go ahead and pray to God the way you know, the way you talk is the way you pray, man. And God honors that. He wants to hear your voice. So we encourage brothers in that way, and it's doing something in the brothers, man. So I'm just grateful to God that he allowed me and a couple other brothers to put this together, you know. So if anybody wants to come with us Saturday morning, 7 a.m., we at Central. And if it's raining, then hit me in the inbox and I'll send you the location.
That's cool, man. That's good. That's awesome. All right, fellas. Any last words? Anybody has any last thing they want to say before you go? Bishop, you got something you want to drop on?
I'm just encouraged by these young men to know, you know, I was just having this discussion with one of my brothers this morning, how, you know, it would appear that with the young people coming behind us, everything is more transactional and resource driven. But these brothers have renewed my hope that some are looking for relationship. And so it was good. It was refreshing to hear that.
Yeah. Brother Elon?
I'm good. Good. I'll catch y'all soon.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed it tonight, fellas. I think that we were on long enough. I'm going to try to cut this down to about an hour and a half. I talk too much, I know.
No, you're good, man.
But Bishop, I heard you say something about you were a running back with number 41.
Yeah, that was my number, man.
That was my number too, and I was a running back.
But you didn't make it as famous as I did.
I think I did. I made it more famous, my brother, but that's okay.
No, in college, I was number 28. I was the ECAC Rookie of the Year. I was in Who's Who in America. Don't let me
you changed the
don't
number,
let me start pulling out accolades at Stanford High School.
You probably, you got a little further than me.
All Daily News, All State.
Where you played?
I played from 77 to 80 at Stanford High.
77 to 80. Okay, so you was around my dad's era then.
Yeah. See, why are you saying it like that?
My dad played at McMahon.
Who's your dad?
Kern Jordan.
Kern?
Yep.
Kern?
Yeah, Kern Jordan.
That's my boy, man.
Hey, yep. That's my pop.
That was my boy, man. Are you kidding me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we used to rock McMahon, though. We beat McMahon so bad they had to escort us out of Norwalk with our helmets on and police escort.
I heard they threw them rocks at that bus, huh?
Yeah, we had to get police escorted out of town, and when they came to Stanford High, though, we returned the favor. They tipped their bus over against the fence. But that was my guy, man. Kern was my guy. That was my running back nemesis, man.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We were the all-state players, all Daily News, all that kind of stuff, man.
Wow.
So awesome. Kyle, we don't know you.
That's okay. I'm from New York anyway, but that's right. That's right. I'm from New York, so
I'm messing with you.
That's all good. You were better than me. I didn't get that far, Doc, so I'm good with it. But listen, fellas, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much tonight for sharing with us. We'll be back on every Monday. We're up here.
Wow, small world, man. You family then. If you part of, when you said running back, you was part of the family, man.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we'll be back on next Monday. I want to take this a little deeper. into, and maybe some other areas too, right? Because I know we talked about money, we talked about, how do we get the bag? There are some conversations. I mean, when I started, I was making like 26, and I made over to like 120,000 a year, just kind of following your dream, man. And, and I think the more you maintain the family and you stick to him, he will open those doors. I mean, he will cause you find ways. Like there's a certain honor to a father taking care of his children. God loves that. And God would always give you what you need to take care of your family, man. So
yeah.
But yeah, man, be encouraged, fellas. And
all right, love you, brothers. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
I didn't think you guys were that down to earth. I thought I was gonna get a whole lot of, but I love this. Especially with you, Reverend Wells.
Reverend Wells, yeah.
Because
the liberal, he's at the liberal Yale Divinity, boy. They wait. Don't lose your religion up there, bro.
I haven't lost it, but they left.
They way left, Doc. They way left.
And this young man can sing, Bishop.
Yeah, he got a voice, man.
Oh man,
my brother
who's that?
Wells, he can sing.
Oh, he's a singer.
Talking about Jordan. I'm sorry.
Hey, nah, well, you.
What do you know about
singing? I can do a little
singing?
something, bro. I can sing, but you can sing. It's a different.
Yeah.
Contemporary quartet.
No, I heard this cat sing. I was like, whoa, that boy can sing.
Yeah, he could go.
Contemporary quartet. What you saying, man?
I'll send you something.
I'm gonna give you one of our CDs.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he can sing, man. He can sing.
I believe
you,
man.
Some at the hall. Where were you at? You was
Are you talking about with Patti LaBelle?
Oh well, no, I didn't know about Patti.
Oh well, it's a few videos. I'll send you something, Pastor.
Do that, man.
You gotta hit us with a note, man. You gotta hit us.
Hey, man.
Come on, man. Hit us.
He said not tonight.
He said not tonight, Doc. All right, fellas. It's late. It's not late. Y'all gonna still watch TV. Have a good night, fellas. And listen, let's get together next week. I'll include you guys on the chat, and we'll kind of stew around about what we're gonna talk about. But I do want to stick to the men's issues. And you got something, Bishop?
No, I'm good, man. Appreciate you, brothers, man.
God bless, man. Have a good night.
God bless.
All right?
Have a blessed night.
All right.
Peace.
Blessing.